There are people in our lives we quietly make a deal with time about. We tell ourselves, I'll call tomorrow, I'll visit when work settles down, I'll say I'm sorry when I find the right words, um, I'll tell them I love them when the moment feels less awkward. And time never interrupts us to say, you might not get that moment. And one day, a phone rings, a chair becomes empty, a voice you thought you could hear whenever you wanted becomes something you have to remember. And all the time you believe you had suddenly belongs to the past. I learned about love through absence before I was old enough to understand the word grief. Um, Obviously, I lost my mother when I was around 5 years old. And at that age, you do not know how to explain what is happening inside you. You only know that someone who should be there is not. And that kind of loss does not stay in 1 year or even a month in your life. It grows up with you. Now, my story would become more complicated than loss. It would include sacrifice, secrets, anger, survival, homelessness, forgiveness, family, and the slow realization that loving somebody does not always mean knowing how to love them well. But there is one sentence I keep returning to now. I don't want tragedy to be my wake up call anymore. So let me ask you something before we even begin. What if cherishing the people we love is not just a feeling? What if it's a decision we have to make before the goodbye? So welcome to Chaz in Motion. I'm Chaz London, and this is the first episode I truly want you to hear. This is not a show where I sit behind a microphone and pretend I have every answer. I do not. This is a place where we can explore history, mystery, memories, and the strange, beautiful, painful things that make us human. And the name matters to me because I am still in motion, still healing, still learning, still trying to become the man I needed when I was younger, and the man the people I love deserve today. So today's episode is personal. We are talking about cherishing the people we love while they are still here, but not in the shallow greeting card way, because love can be beautiful and love can be confusing. The people who protect us can also disappoint us. The people we miss can also be people we are angry with. Someone can love us and still leave. And then someone can love us and still leave wounds they never even knew how to repair. So we are going to talk honestly about all of it. Loss, complicated family love, the armor we built to survive, the boundaries we need, and what it takes, what it really means to stop waiting for tragedy to make us pay attention. Now, if the title of this episode made somebody's face appear in your mind, stay with me. Before we are done, I am going to ask you to do one thing within the next 24 hours. Nothing dramatic, nothing for social media, just one real act of love while time is still giving you the chance. And if any part of this touches something tender in you, take care of yourself. Pause the episode if you need to, come back when you are ready. This conversation is not going anywhere. So, my mother was 15 years old when she had me. When I say that now, as an adult, I hear it differently than I did as a child. 15, that is a child being asked to carry the weight of bringing another child into the world. I lost her when I was around 5, and when you lose a parent that young, grief is not always one clear memory. Sometimes grief is missing information. If it is all the questions that never got the chance to become conversations, what made her laugh when nobody was watching? What was she afraid of? What music did she play when she needed to feel better? Would we have been close? Would we have argued? Would she be proud of the man I became? Those ordinary questions become priceless when the person who could answer them is gone. So, people sometimes talk about grief like it is a road with a finish line. For me, it has been more like weather. Sometimes it is far away, sometimes it arrives without warning, a birthday, a smell, an old picture, a quiet moment, and suddenly the 5-year-old version of me is standing beside the adult version of me. That early absence whispering something dangerous into my life. People can disappear, and when a child learns that, it can shape the way he loves later. Sometimes you hold on too tightly. Sometimes you pull away before somebody gets the chance to leave. Sometimes you act like you do not need anyone, because needing people feels like handing fate another weapon. And I did not have language for any of that as a boy. I just knew there was love in my life, and there was a space where love should have been. And there's one reason I do not want this episode to become a simple message telling people to be grateful. Gratitude does not cancel grief. Love does not erase pain. And missing someone does not mean every part of the story was easy. The truth is more complicated than that. I can be grateful that my mother gave me life. I can wish I had more time with her or more of her. I can understand that she was incredibly young, and I can still grieve everything we never had the chance to become. All of those things can be true in the same breath. Now, I was raised by my grandparents. As a child, you mostly see the rules. You see what you are not allowed to do. You hear the corrections. You notice the times the adults do not understand you. But age changes the camera angle. As an adult, I can look back and see sacrifice that I was too young to recognize. I can see people making room in their lives, putting food on the table, creating structure, keeping a child safe, and carrying responsibilities they may not have planned for. And love did not always arrive as the words, "I love you." Sometimes it arrived as a meal. Sometimes it was a roof. Somebody being there the next morning and the morning after that. And listen, I am still not saying every rule they made was right. Let us be clear. Growing older does not magically turn every painful memory into a good one. Maturity is not pretending the past was perfect. Maturity is learning how to hold more than one truth at a time. My grandparents could sacrifice for me and still be imperfect. I could feel loved and still carry hurt. I could be grateful and still have questions. Love is not a courtroom where we have to choose only one verdict, right? Human beings are rarely all heroes or all villains. Most of us are wounded people trying to protect somebody while sometimes passing along pain we never learned how to name. That actually rhymed. I actually like that. If somebody raised you, protected you, or stepped into a gap they did not create, there may be something you understand now that you could not understand then. Tell them. Not because the relationship was perfect, not because you owe anybody a rewritten version of your childhood. Tell them because appreciation should not have to wait until the person can no longer hear it. Flowers at a funeral can be beautiful, but they cannot listen. The living can. But my understanding of family did not become simpler as I grew older. At some point in my life, I learned that the person I had to understood, let me phrase that. I learned that the person I had understood to be my older brother was actually my biological father, right? And even saying that sentence out loud can feel like placing something heavy on a table. And I want to be careful here because this is not a plot twist. This was my life. A truth like that rearranges the entire family map. It can make you look back at memories and ask questions you never knew were supposed to ask. Who knew? Why was I not told? Why was I being protected? Or what was being protected? What did people believe they were protecting me from? Who was I allowed to believe I was? And what happens to a relationship when the name you had for it suddenly changes? But here's what I have had to learn, right? A complicated truth can make you re-examine every memory without making every memory false. Love and betrayal can exist in the same room. A person can care about you and still fail you in a profound way. A family can believe it is protecting a child while leaving the child to clean up years of confusion later. I do not say that to excuse anybody. I say it because easy categories do not fit real families. And not every detail belongs to this microphone, because being transparent does not require bleeding on command. Not everything is meant for social media. A lot of people put stuff out there that shouldn't be out there, and that was another reason why me building the Finding and Purpose episodes were so hard for me, because it was like, should I share this? Should I not? Who goes through this type of stuff, And I don't want to paint my family in a bad light. It's just animosity, and it just has to be something that has to be kept private. When the world was such a private place, things were better. Even though behind the scenes they might have not been, but people do not need to see other people's problems, and because it gets into your mind at the end of the day. But that is part of complicated love too, right? Deciding what truth needs a voice, what truth needs privacy, and what pain does not deserve to control another generation. For me, breaking the cycle means choosing honesty with the people who come after me. It means not making my children or grandchildren decode whether I love them. It means telling the truth without using the truth as a weapon. And it means understanding that forgiveness and access are not the same thing. You can love somebody and still need distance. You can forgive somebody and still decide that the door cannot reopen. You can cherish what was real without pretending the pain never happened. But that is not cold. That is love with wisdom. People would distinguish that as you're being naive or unsympathetic, but you're not. You're definitely not. So, you are listening to Chaz Emotion. I'm Chaz London, and today's episode is called Cherish Them While They're Here. So, take a breath with me. If this episode has brought something or somebody to mind, you do not have to solve the entire relationship right now. Just notice the name. We are going to come back to that person before the episode ends. Okay? Now, the loss and the family secrets did not stay neatly inside my childhood. They helped shape the adult I became. In my early 20s, I spent around a year homeless, without a stable place to call my own. There's nothing cinematic about survival when you are the one living it. Your world narrows to basic questions. Where am I going to sleep? How do I eat? How do I keep what little I have safe? How do I get through today without letting anybody see how afraid I really am. When life trains you to survive, tenderness can start to feel like a luxury. I learned how to stay alert, how to solve the next problem, how to keep moving even when there was no clear destination. Those instincts helped me survive. But armor does not know when the war is over. The same habits that protect you in crisis can make it difficult to prevent or present in a peaceful room. You can become so good at expecting the next hit that you do not know what to do when somebody reaches towards you with love. Now, for a long time, anger felt safer than sadness. Anger felt active, felt great. Sadness felt like surrender to me. But sometimes anger is grief. Wearing work boots, steel toe boots at that. But one of the hardest people I have had to learn to cherish is myself. And I do not mean the polished version of self-love that fits under a perfect picture. I mean refusing to repeat the harm that shaped me, right? I mean learning that I am allowed to rest before my body forces me to stop. Apologizing when my pain spills onto people who did not cause it. Refusing to let brutal chapters become the narrative of the entire book. That is what finding purpose in pain came to mean for me. It never meant the pain was a gift, right? Some pain is just pain. It is unfair. It leaves damage. It takes things that cannot be returned. The purpose is not hidden inside the world or inside the wound like a prize. The purpose is what I chose to build after the wound. Now, pain does not become holy because we survived it, but survival can become service. Just remember that. When I moved from New York to Texas, the outside of my life changed. There was more space to breathe, and imagine a new chapter in peace can be powerful. There was more space, a different pace, a chance to breathe and imagine a new chapter. Like I said, and peace can be powerful, but peace can also expose what noise was hiding behind there. At first, a calmer environment can feel like the healing itself, Then one day, old anger returns. Old fears show up in a new room. A reaction comes out of you that belongs to a much older chapter. That does not mean the move failed. It means healing is not a zip code. You can build a new life and still carry old weather inside you. And for years, I dealt with that. That realization humbled me because it forced me to ask harder questions, right? Am I loving the people in front of me for who they are, or reacting to the fear that they might leave, right? Am I actually present, or am I only providing? Heck, even am I listening, or am I managing the conversation? For a long time, that was just me, managing conversations. Listening was there, but I was mostly managing conversations. Do the people I love receive the best of me, or only what is left after work? Ambition and creativity have taken their share part of me. The last question is uncomfortable for me as a creator, because that last question, do the people I love receive the best of me, or only what is left after my ambitions and my creativity? And it's hard to answer that, because at the end of the day, even though I'm older and wiser, there are some answers I cannot provide. And it is easy to give the camera your sharpest attention, right? It is easy to spend hours chasing the right shot, the right edit, the right sound, the right idea. But a dream should not cost you the people who make the dream worth having. And being known as a director being known as a director would mean very little in the people inside my own home felt unseen. If they felt unseen, being a director means shit. Sometimes cherishing the people you love looks like putting a camera down. Sometimes it looks like letting the moment exist without turning it into content. Social media is why a lot of times social media irritates me. The attention spans, the way people react or act in general. Sometimes it is choosing to be fully inside the memory instead of only capturing it. Just put the camera down. Experience life without having to share it with other people to the point where that's all it becomes. Just sharing your life. Sometimes you can be creative, yes. I might lose my memory and I'm going to be looking back like, damn, I wish I would have had recorded that. But at the end of the day, you can't think like that. You have to think positive. You can't be like, yeah, I'm going to lose my memory. I am still working on that. I am not speaking to you from the finish line, obviously. I'm speaking while in motion. And that's why I call my podcast Chaz in Motion. So now I look at love not only as somebody's child, but as a husband, a father, and a grandfather. That changes the weight of time, right? When you are young, 8 years feels enormous. Then you watch children grow. You watch your own face change. You realize that the people who once carried you are getting older. And the little ones you held are becoming people with memories of their own. Like my grandchildren make time visible to me. They remind me that what feels ordinary today will become somebody's childhood. The tone of my voice, whether I looked up when they entered the room, whether love was something they had to earn or something they knew they could have or come home to. I do not want the people who come after me to inherit only my story of survival. I want them to inherit emotional safety, inherit honesty. I want them to know affection without having to decode it. I want my children and grandchildren to hear, I love you, while I am here to answer when they say it back. Because cherishing somebody is a verb. It is making the call when you do not need anything. It is saying thank you and naming exactly what you are thankful for. It is apologizing without dragging the word, but behind the apology, obviously. It is sitting without somebody, without scrolling through a different world in your hand. It is asking an older relative or to tell the story one more time, even if you think you already know it. It is learning the recipe, recording the voice, taking the picture, and then putting the phone away. One day, an ordinary voicemail may become priceless. One day, the blurry picture you almost deleted may become the one you cannot stop looking at. And one day, you may wish you could hear the same story you once thought you had heard too many times. Do not wait for the relationship to become perfect before you honor what is real. Perfect is not coming. Repair what can be repaired now. Release what is unsafe and express love where love can still be received. So, I need to make one thing very clear. Cherishing somebody does not mean abandoning yourself, though. Okay? Some people hear a message like this and think it means they have to call every person who harmed them, reopen every relationship, and place themselves back in the same danger. No, do not fucking do that. You can love somebody and still need boundaries, okay? You can forgive without reopening the door. You can honor the good without denying the harm. And you can also miss somebody without giving them permission to keep hurting you. So, reconciliation is not created by one person pretending everything is fine, right? Real reconciliation needs truth, accountability, change behavior and safety on both ends. Sometimes the loving action is a phone call. Sometimes it is a conversation with a therapist or without a therapist, or somebody you just trust before you make the call. But sometimes it is a letter you never send. Sometimes it is loving a person from a safe distance. And cherishing yourself means finally leaving a place where your love is being used against you. A boundary is not proof that the love failed. Sometimes a boundary is the only reason love does not turn into resentment. So, the point of this episode is not that every relationship can be saved. Some cannot. The point is to stop letting fear, pride, distractions, and the illusion of unlimited time make every decision for you. Say what is true where it is safe to say it. Protect what needs protection, and do not forget that your own life is also one of the lives you are responsible for cherishing. So, I want to give you a quiet moment before we close. If you are driving, keep your eyes on the road, please. Thank you. Just think through this, all right? You can write it down later. So, who was the first person who came to mind when you saw the title of this episode? Do not overthink it. Just let their name sit there for a second. Now ask yourself 3 questions. What do I appreciate about this person that I have never said specifically? What am I delaying because I assume there will be more time? And what boundary, if any, would help me love without building resentment? So within the next 24 hours, choose one action. Send a voice note, make the call, plan the visit, ask for the story, say thank you, apologize without defending yourself. Or if contact would not be safe, write the truth in a letter you keep for yourself and share what came out with somebody you trust. Do not waste 20 minutes trying to make the message perfect. You can begin with something as simple as, you crossed my mind today. I love you. And I appreciate you for ... Then finish the sentence honestly. Let love be the wake-up call, right? Maybe love is complicated because people are complicated. We inherit wounds before we have language for them. We protect ourselves in ways that can hurt the people trying to reach us. We confuse silence with strength. We confuse providing with being present. We keep making deals with time as if time signed the contract. And the truth is, most of us will not know when the conversation is going to be the last conversation. Even this video now, or this talk right now, could be my last conversation. You never know. But I do want to tell you guys, from the bottom of my heart, that I do love you. We will not hear a sound effect. The room will not suddenly look different. It may feel completely ordinary. That is why the ordinary moment matters so much. I cannot go back and give the 5-year-old version of me more time with my mother. I cannot ask every question I wish I could have asked. I cannot rewrite the family truths that shaped me. I cannot erase the year when survival took everything I had. But I can love the people in front of me right now. I can give my children and grandchildren words once needed. words that I personally once needed. I can honor my grandparents' sacrifice while remaining honest about the pain. I can decide that secrecy does not get the final word. I can turn survival into compassion, ambition into presence, and pain into purpose. But yeah, that is what Chaz in motion means to me. Motion does not always mean running away from the past. Sometimes it means walking forward with the truth. I do not want tragedy to be my wake-up call anymore. I want love to be the wake-up call. So here's a question I want to leave with you. Who have you been assuming will always be there? And what do you need to say while you still can? If you feel comfortable, share your answer in the comments, but make the call before you make the comment. If this episode gave you the name of somebody you need to reach, send it to them. Not as pressure, just as an opening. In the episodes ahead, we are going to explore mysteries, history, memory, and some of the strangest questions about our world. But before we traveled anywhere else, I needed you to understand that the heart behind this microphone, I needed you guys to understand who is behind this microphone. 10% of my story that I just said. But until next time, cherish them while they are here. And do not forget to cherish yourself too. I'm Chaz London, and this is Chaz in Motion. Keep moving with purpose, please. And thank you. Oh, that's right. Before you go, pause the next episode, make the call. Thank you.